Alrighty, Skwatter here, back with another one of his ramblings on the games that he has been filming for his very lonely YouTube channel. Oh, oh well, let's get right to it. Okay, wow. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Holy gods, do I have a lot to say about this game. Wow. Okay, so let me give you a bit of a backstory as to about this game. So I originally bought them used when they were a few years old, maybe 2 or 3 years old, I'm not sure. A couple of years after they were released as used Xbox games. This is both the first and the second game from a Rogers video that was in my hometown. And you know, I was just there. I had been there often, just looking for the latest game to rent or looking to see what kind of cheap used games they had. And I saw them on the shelf and I thought, huh, what's this? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I've never heard of it before. So I picked it up and again, a couple years after they were released, I don't know, maybe I would have been 16, maybe 15, 16, I'm not sure, 15, 16, 17, I don't know. So I picked them up and I looked at them and I'm like, holy shit, it says that this is a role-playing game. Fuck, I love role-playing games, as you can see from my channel. No, so it's like, I was like, holy shit, this is like a fucking dream come true, are you kidding me? It's a fucking role-playing game in the Star Wars universe. That's amazing, right? So I was like, this is too good to be true. So I picked them up, and I'm just like, my fucking god, this is incredible. I don't believe this, right? It's like you can have like a party of several different characters. It's like a massive adventure across so many different planets. You can speak to all these different kinds of aliens and do quests and everything, and get movie specific or universe specific items and weapons and armor and everything. Oh, it was fucking amazing, man. I absolutely loved it. So I snatched the two right up, and I absolutely loved the first one. This is, of course, back then. I absolutely loved the first one. Was a bit confused and kind of frustrated by the second one, as are several people. Well, the vast majority of the gaming populace. So. But no, so yeah, if you knew me, you would know that I absolutely love console-style RPGs, definitely. Some PC-style RPGs, but definitely the console-style, again, as you know, as I've said in my previous rambles. I'm not very good at action-adventure games. I'm not very good at platforming games, so I kind of like the sort of games where it's less about breakneck reflexes and chance, and it's more about strategy, and it's more about strengthening your characters, strengthening your team, so that after much work and perseverance, you will succeed, right? You will persevere. I'm not sure I used that term correctly, but so. Trials and tribulations, I guess, is what I should have said, but no. So yeah, I mean, just a role-playing game in the Star Wars universe. It was amazing, right? It was everything I ever wanted. Of course, I have always been a lifelong Star Wars fan. Not too big of a fan of the recent adaptations, the Force Awakens and Rogue One. I'll come right out and say it. I've only seen maybe the first half hour of the new Star Wars movie. That is Episode 7. And I gotta tell you, I don't know. If this had come out several years ago, maybe back when I was still in my teens, maybe I probably would have loved it, like I did the episodes 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and everything, if you want to call them that. But this coming out when I'm in my late 20s and everything, I don't know. You could say maybe I've matured, maybe I've become cynical or whatever. I don't know. Not a fan of these movies anymore. I don't know if I've explained this before, but of course here I am. This is why it's a ramble. I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'll just kind of gloss over this. I think that a lot of movies nowadays, not just the new Star Wars movies, but the vast majority of movies nowadays suffer from a condition that I call, maybe other people have called it, but I call it simply new movie-itis. It's a sort of it's a quote disease end quote that modern day movies suffer from, and what this entails is that everything in new movies nowadays, no matter how simplistic it is, it always has to be CG, right? Practical effects are not allowed, it seems. Even though a bunch of the times these studios are actually filming practical effects in the beginning, but then some executive comes along or whatever and nixes all that, and then on with the crappy CG that basically only exists on a hard drive, and it's not very impressive because you think, yep, this is just a giant green room, you know. You could go to Middle Earth. You could go to Middle Earth. You could go to Middle Earth. It's called New Zealand. Yeah, that's Middle Earth. That's where they filmed it. You can go to the exact locations that they filmed a lot of that stuff there. Can't do that with the movie 300 or its sequel. You can't do that with anything in the newer Star Wars films. You know, they may have gone to certain places, but I remember Tunisia was used as a filming location for Tatooine, and the redwood forests of California were for Endor, and I think Norway, maybe Finland or whatever, was used for Hoth. But again, you know, it's like when you have practical effects and you use actual filming locations, everything is more organic. Everything is more organic. It's like saying that a set looks fake. What do you mean a set looks fake? What do you mean like filming outside looks fake? That's nature. That it's actually there. It can't be fake. It's actually there. You know? What looks fake to me is everybody just being in a giant green screen, and when they're fighting a monster or something, they're basically just looking at a guy in fucking bright green cardboard box costumes, you know? I mean, it's just insane, you know? I mean, it's like if I was honestly, you know, grandiose dreams here, if I was honestly a movie star, I would be so disillusioned with the entire scene, with the entire career, because I know that no matter what, it's like you're oftentimes just simply going to be in front of a green screen. And you know what? I'm gonna be reasonable here. Computer animation does have its place. In fact, you know, I know that they used early computers to superimpose or rotoscope the laser blasts and the lightsabers onto the original Star Wars film footage. So I'm not attacking them there necessarily, right? But the reason is that I think that CG should only be used for things that are just simply not able to be done in real life in practical terms, right? But I mean, in that respect, you shouldn't try to make your film so wild, crazy, wacky, and over the top that you simply need CG to film fucking everything, right? I mean, it's like, you know, in the new Fast and Furious movie, or whatever the fuck they're calling it, I think a car drives into an airplane as it's taking off. It drives into like the cargo bay up the ramp and everything. And I guarantee you there's got to be some CG there, because nobody nowadays for a movie like that would pay actual money to set this whole thing up with like a plane and cars and everything actually doing it. Like they wouldn't do that. Like I guarantee you that's all CG for the most part, right? Maybe they have like an actual car driving around again in a massive green room or something where it's filmed, but I guarantee you that's fucking fake, right? But then I think it's like, oh hey, they actually did do something like that in one of the James Bond movies, actually, The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton. Yeah, in fact, the Bond girl Kara drives the Jeep into a plane through the cargo hold bay just as it's about to take off. And that actually, you know, again, there's always movie magic, right? But they actually set that up, sort of thing, right? They actually did that, you know, because I guess they cared more, and because they absolutely had to do that to get the shot across, right? To complete the shot. But no, again, see how I said that I was going off on a tangent here? I started yakking about my hatred of CG effects. But no, honestly, it's like films like The Thing definitely has to be my favorite film. That's the good version of The Thing, the 1982 John Carpenter version. The good version, honestly, not the shitty new version. In fact, I honestly think that The Thing from Another World from the early 1950s is, by leaps and bounds, a superior movie to the new one, because it's not all about uh, in-your-face CG and jump annoyances or jump scares, or some people call them jump annoyances. I seem to agree uh, with that thought process there. They're just fucking annoying nowadays. They're just there to aggravate the deepest, most primordial, well, evolutionary senses of mankind. So, but yeah, so there's my one of my tangential rants there. But yeah, so fuck. Oh yeah, so I was talking about the new Star Wars films, and yeah. So as I said, I've only seen pretty much the first half hour of Episode 7, and I gotta tell you, there pretty much has not been a scene in that movie in which I did not have a problem with. In fact, in almost every single scene, I had numerous fucking complaints, and I've posted a lot of them on my Facebook page, which not entirely sure I want to share with everybody. Again, privacy and all that shit. But I'm thinking of transcribing all of my thoughts that I had about the new Star Wars movie into one of these little ramble rants sort of videos or recordings, audio recordings, available on 78, 8-track, Edison cylinder, whatever. So, but yeah. So back to the game that I'm rambling about. So Knights of the Old Republic again. It was literally a dream come true. I had wanted a game like this in the Star Wars universe for so long, and sure enough, it had completely passed me up. Right. So I've had the game for well over a decade now. Yeah, I would. Again, I can't necessarily remember when I first bought it, like the exact day, month, year, but it's definitely been for since I've been in high school and everything, right? So, um, and the reason I liked it is that it was, from what I had seen from games at the time, very customizable. It had a very deep storyline. The voice acting was spot on. I gotta say, it's looking at profile pictures of the actors and actresses. They got to play the parts of the in-game characters. It's as if they actually modeled the in-game characters after those people, and it just seems so authentic. Like their voices, it's just incredible. I absolutely love it. And it's got, again, memorable characters that are, I would say, for the most part, well written. Uh, you know, for the most part, as I'll get into, good guys are written to be good guys. Bad guys are written to be bad guys. There's a little bit of a gray area, and of course the main antagonists are written to be main antagonists, which is good. So, and what? Sometimes I like simplistic things like that. I like defined good and evil in certain aspects. If it's if it's a game like this, like Star Wars, I would say defined good and evil are important and averagely important. Depending on, again, well, they seem to be taking Star Wars in an entirely different direction. So we'll see. Maybe they'll make a movie that I like. I don't know. Uh, yeah. Well, I guess. Huh. No, for a second to go back to again, this is a ramble, right? So don't expect any kind of continuity or linearity here. But to go back to my new movie itis point, again, point number one is CG, over reliance of it, and secondly, it is over reliance on tired, overused, self-referential, break the fourth wall meta humor. And what I mean by that is, an example from Episode 7, when this Kylo Ren dude, I don't even know who he is. Maybe it's this Poe guy or whatever. I wasn't too concerned with what was going on, honestly, because as I said, I didn't have a whole lot of liking for it. But so it's practically the opening scene of the movie where thank you very much. Oh, I don't want to go into this too hardcore, because I know that I want to make another video when I just tear that fucking Star Wars Episode 7 movie to shreds. But I'll just quickly reference the main aspect of this one of the examples of this meta humor that I'm so sick and tired of. When Kylo Ren walks up to whoever he is, he's being menaced by these stormtrooper guys. He's on his knees, and Kylo Ren kind of bends over him, menacing him as well. And he asks him, or I don't know, I don't think he says anything. And whoever this guy is, I don't know if it's Poe or what the hell ever, but he says, what's supposed to go on here? Am I supposed to talk first, or like what's going on here? How does this go? I'm sure, in the movie theaters, everyone was like, wah ha 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 ha. Oh, he's so cocky. He's so, uh, but I think, don't get cocky, kid, right? Thank you, Han Solo. But, and I think I'm sick and tired of that sort of thing. It's not funny, if you ask me. It rips the tension and the atmosphere out of the scene, honestly, because this character is acting like a complete fucking goofball, right? And to be honest, I don't think anybody would act that way if they thought that their life was in danger. I don't care who they were, right? To a degree, there's always self-preservation in everybody, and for the guy to be that completely fucking stupid and irresponsible to a psychopathic, violent warlord who's powerful enough to stop a laser bolt in midair and keep it sealed in a fucking fresh Ziploc bag, keeping in its freshness and then letting it go, blow up at the side of a facade after he's done speaking to everybody, that's fucking stupid, honestly. But that's for my review. But yeah, no, it's like uh, that I'm really sick and tired of, and you can parallel it to other movies. Like I parallel that exact scene to a scene that was advertised in the Female Ghostbusters film that just came out recently. It's got the four ladies there, and they get out of their vehicle. They're supposed to look all prominent and striking a pose and everything. They say, "Oh, are we supposed to go first? Oh, I don't know. Like, do we walk forward? Do you want to walk forward? I don't know." Like, see, it's like get on with it, right? Like fucking quote Monty Python here. Get on with it, right? It's like I don't find that funny. I find that really, really fucking annoying, honestly. I don't like that kind of humor. Again, it detracts away from the scene, and you know what? As I said, it breaks the fourth wall, right? So not only does it detract away from the atmosphere of the scene, it says, oh yeah, it's reminding me that I'm watching a goofy fucking movie, right? So, again, it's a massive over-reliance on it. Honestly, in the fucking Star Wars Episode 7 movie, the guy who said, "Oh, what do I talk first, or what? How's this supposed to work?" He might as well have just leaned ever so slightly in, turned his face to the audience, and give them a subtle little wink and a smile there, raised his eyebrows a bit, then went back to it. They might as well have fucking done that, honestly, because it completely destroyed the scene. Um, you know what? Yeah, as I said, maybe I've gone cynical or something, but yeah, no, I cannot stand fucking. Uh, I cannot stand material like that. And other things that I generally dislike about new movies is that, again, a lot of the times there is not a whole lot of defined good and evil, as I was talking about with Knights of the Old Republic, right? The good characters are generally, good characters, right? But, there are certain TV shows and movies that do uh, sort of gray area good, gray area evil, writing very well, characters very well. 24 is definitely a good one. You especially see it in the main character, Jack Bauer, where generally he's a good person, but he needs to do bad things to make sure that his country and his people are safe, right? So you can still get behind him, right? But of course, especially what was it? Quantum of Solace. Oh, here it goes on another tangent. God, this fucking review is going to be so long. When his friend, when Daniel Craig again, which I'm not a fan of at all. I absolutely hate his portrayal of what James Bond has become. I don't know any of the names or anything because honestly, I fucking hate that movie and I don't like thinking about it. But when his friend dies and he basically he has him in his arms and he basically just throws his body in a dumpster and says, "Well, fuck it," Uh, screw you guys, I'm going home, right? So I mean, it's just like that's you're like James Bond is supposed to be the hero. He was always the hero, right? I mean, he always had to kill people, and sometimes innocent people got hurt, but you knew he was a good person. Like right now, what James Bond is now is just like a fucking dysfunctional, addicted, alcoholic, useless, sociopathic asshole who just basically leaves a path of destruction in his wake. And I really don't think he gets anything done, honestly. But so yeah, definitely overreliance of CG, overuse of stupid, crappy meta humor, uh, making shitty, unlikable characters. I guess is the whole define good, define evil sort of thing. You can definitely see it in today's modern day slasher flicks where you're just waiting to see everybody die because they're such fucking idiots. Um, there are a few other reasons, but I don't want to waste too much more time on it. So yeah, so well, let's get back to fucking Knights of the Old Republic here. So God, as I said, it's like I just have one thought and just a million different thoughts come along with it. So I apologize for that, but hey, it takes up time, right? So and it entertains me at least. So that's the very least I can say. But so right, focus on Knights of the Old Republic. Yes, no, Knights of the Old Republic, the first one. I have a comparatively high opinion of, especially compared to the other games that I have reviewed, and including Jade Empire, a game made by the same company, BioWare. And as I said before, um, I would have thought that Knights of the Old Republic should have come after Jade Empire because Jade Empire was just so stripped down, so vanilla, so alpha, but in this case, I really really liked Knights of the Old Republic because it basically allowed the player, myself, to live out their Star Wars fantasy as well as the story told it. But so, and again, I've said, I thought that the graphics were well done. I thought that the creativity with the aliens was again very well done. It felt like it was made by the Star Wars culture, right? By the people who created it, right? It didn't look like that it had some other foreign company's hackneyed version of it, like as if probably what EA would have done with it. But so I've had a lot of history with this game. To tell you the truth, I have played through this first game, so many damn times, right? And I kind of got sick of it after a while because later on I got it for the PC, and because I realized, holy shit, there are like cheat codes for the PC, and you can like give yourself awesome weapons and max out your stats, so everything will be easy for you. So I got the PC version, I played it that way, and you know what? Like I just cheated the shit out of the game, and it got boring to me, honestly. Like I kept on trying to restart it, saying I won't cheat, I won't cheat, I won't cheat, and I always did, right? So sometimes I'd only give myself a whole lot of credits, but then I thought, well, then I still won't be able to buy this weapon that I really want, so I'll cheat that way, and then the snowball just rolls down the hill and gets bigger and bigger and bigger into a massive boulder, right? So this playthrough that I did, which is a couple years after the last sort of attempt that I made at this game to try and play it through fully and completely as possible using a walkthrough and everything. I played it on the Xbox for the purpose of playing it clean, because I thought that really was the only way for me to not get just tiredly bored of it, right? Just lose all tolerance for it. So I decided to beat it using a female character because that was the one way that I had not beaten the game before, right? I had always played as a male character, and again, I'm not the canon of these games. I've sort of read into it a little bit. I'm not entirely sure if you're supposed to be a female character or a male character. I think you're supposed to be a female character in the second game. I'm not sure, and I think you're supposed to be a male character in this game, but again, I don't know. And well, I want this to be as organic as possible, so I'm not going to waste time looking it up there. I'm sick of that dead air that I had in those last couple videos while doing that. But, so yeah. Um, I got to tell you, really, one thing that kind of irks me about this game is that the only real playable class, honestly, is the soldier class, right? I mean, again, it's so unfortunate what happened to this game because it was the first of its kind in the Star Wars universe, and unfortunately, it was, well, other than the sequel, which was not done by BioWare, it was pretty much the last of its kind, right? I kind of think of the second game as more of a tumorous outgrowth of the first one, unfortunately. But so the reason why I say that the soldier is important is because it's all about the feats, right? Every single battle is melee combat, right? So you want a character that can soak up a lot of damage and do a lot of damage, right? So that's definitely going to be the soldier class, right? It's a little bit harder with the scout class. Of course, you get more skills and everything, but the thing that I've thought with the skills, a lot of them in this game, a lot of them are either useless or redundant, honestly. Like security is completely useless, right? And it's redundant as well because why the hell would you invest so many points in security when you can literally just bash open any lock, right? And that's why the soldier is important because they have more damage and a higher percentage chance to hit. So while they have fewer skill points to deal to all of their little areas, all you really have to worry about is equipping a powerful melee weapon, and you can bash open doors and bash open foot lockers and chests and everything like that. And so really, I mean, I don't think security ever really plays a role in any way, shape, or form. Like, I mean, honestly, you usually get characters in your party that, have higher skill levels in computer use or repair or something like that. Like, so I mean, really, like, having a sort of jack of all trades as your main character is kind of useless, right? Because, I mean, you have to soak up damage. You have to be able to be a physical sword fighter. Like, you have to blaze through this game like a barbarian, honestly. Because again, everything is with melee weapons, whether it's swords or staves or as it inevitably turns out, lightsabers, right? So, and the thing is that blasters in this game are, as many other people have said, woefully underpowered. They are to the point of being entirely fucking useless, right? Like, there are a few guns in this game that, if you fully deck them out with all their upgrades, they're somewhat useful. But again, the vast majority of the characters in this game, they either rip out their melee weapons and quickly close the distance and just wail on you. And of course, since you have a blaster, you have no way of blocking the attacks, so you just leave yourself open to being just utterly destroyed, right? So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I cheated, honestly, because I wanted to sort of play the game in a different way. I wanted to have like a blaster-centered character, which, I mean, again, all was turned out to be pretty much useless. So, and I mean, I think there's like a kill blaster thing, and I did that with my playthrough of Knights of the Old Republic 2. I played that on the PC simply because I wanted to try out the Sith Lords Restored Content mod, because I think that's pretty much necessary, honestly, to play the game and get the full experience. Because let me tell you, that game was buggy and unfinished as fucking hell. Jesus, it's a travesty that they didn't update the game Obsidian themselves. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, that's frankly an embarrassment if you ask me. When the fans of the game themselves have to like illegally crack the game and re-encode all of this sort of thing, because the data's all there. The way I understand it, the data is all there. They have I mean, of course, the vast majority of the voice files are from HK47, but the data is all there. They didn't need to worry about it, right? They just basically strung it all together and made it cohesive, right? But whatever, yeah. So, not very happy with you, Obsidian, but whatever. So, Yeah, again, there are very few ways to play this game through and have a good time, honestly, because, I mean, God fucking forbid if you're a scoundrel. Again, in all the multitude of times that I tried to play this through, honestly, I tried to be a scout and a scoundrel, and sometimes they'd have recommended point distributions that you would use. Again, I tried to say, well, I'll make like a super scoundrel, right? He'll have like he or she'll have a lot of skill points, and I'll at the same time give them a lot of strength stats and a lot of dexterity and constitution stats, because their lower intelligence will still make up for the lack of skill points, right? So, but again, it always just ended up biting me in the ass, especially on really only on the Xbox version. But uh, yeah, because I mean, like your character would just get destroyed, right? I mean, they're just not ready for combat, right? And I mean, again, frag grenades and blasters, I mean, they're completely useless. And pretty much by the time I got to Marl, which is on Taurus in the dueling arena, if I wasn't like a fully decked out soldier, I would not be able to beat him, and the game would practically end there for me, right? Because I didn't know about all like the little experience trick that you can do in the lower city, but again, so yeah, it's like they just have two practically useless classes just sort of to pad out the game and make it look more customizable when really it's entirely useless. So yeah, so again, as I was talking about in my Jade Empire ramble, um, in this game it's much more obvious. The combat is all turn-based. As I said, it's based on the Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition rule set, and every single attack, every single block, every single successful use of an item or a projectile weapon or anything like that, it's all a dice roll compared to a difficulty level of the enemy character's dexterity, constitution, strength, armor class, damage, compared to your stats, right? If your stats are higher, you have a generally higher chance of landing a blow on your character, right? Which again, you're looking at, guys using blasters and they shoot off 4 shots, right? And maybe one or none of them would hit, right? And of course, I mean, these are fucking blasters, right? You see how they work in the damn movies, right? Fucking Han Solo fries Greedo. He's like, yeah, it's like, over my dead body. Or no, no, no. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. And Han Solo's like, bet you have. Boom. Fucking sets his body on fire with a fucking ray blast, honestly. Just like that. You know, and it's like, just looking at how poorly implemented they are in this game, I was like, they might as well be pop guns, really, because they're entirely useless. And as I said again, everybody uses a melee weapon pretty much, and people who use blasters are too far away, so they're out of range and you don't hit them. And again, yeah, when you fight Jedi or Sith Lords or anything like that, they draw their lightsabers and end up reflecting most of the blaster bolts back at you, right? So, I mean, it's pretty much fucking useless there. So, you know, so I'm just sort of watching through one of my playthroughs now. I'm on the Endar Spire, and I don't know, like a lot of people don't like Trask. I kind of liked him, even though he was pretty much just like a fucking fourth wall character, just basically tell you what the game is, a tutorial guy. I thought it would have been neat if he, kind of came back later on in the game, like maybe he's just like, yeah, I the guy left me for dead, this Darth Bandon guy, and I found one of the unjettisoned escape pods or something, and maybe he could like help you out or something. But then again, this is me saying that very many years after the fact. Very many years. Fuck yeah, how's that? Uh, Many years after the fact. So, and again, this game is not geared to that sort of gameplay, right? That sort of attitude. It's very, very linear in that aspect. So don't expect anything like you'd see in Oblivion or anything like that. Again, you can tell that I'm referencing games that are pretty much almost a decade old, if not more, because you know what? I've lost faith in movies and games nowadays, TV as well. I think again they're all a whole lot of fluff, really boring and everything, and I just absolutely love older video games. As you can see, I'm playing pretty much just that. So yeah, again, yeah, like using stealth here right now. Pretty much useless except for a few quests, right? Like maybe on Korriban you'd need to use like a sound dampening stealth unit to, stop that crazy assassin droid from murdering you. But again, they have all these features that, could be used so well, but they're just so poorly implemented that everybody just basically ignores them, right? And just basically goes for the head-on, like fucking drive a saber down their throat kind of thing, right? So, but yeah, no. So as I said, the characters are very well written. They all have a good deal of backstory. Uh, I like all of them, but of course, as I've said in my Jade Empire review, and of course, here's the game that stars the character himself, your Karth guy, Karth Onasi. He's your little goody two shoes character that either you butt heads with if you're an evil guy, or you rub up against when you're a good guy, right? But even when you're a good guy, you just look at him and you're just like, Jesus Christ, you're such a goody two shoes motherfucker. Just get out of my fucking face. Honestly, I don't need you, right? But no, BioWare games are notorious for having, quote unquote Karth guy. So come to think of it, the aliens in Mass Effect look a lot like the aliens in Guardians of the Galaxy. Fucking rip-offs, right? So, but yeah, so, this game, where do I start here? It's set 5,000 years before, all of the, like the Battle of Yavin. If that's still the canon of the series, I don't know. Everything got turned on its head when Disney acquired the franchise from George Lucas. Yeah, so it's supposed to be like 4,000 or 5,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, BBY. It's like BC and AD, but whatever. So I'm looking at this and I think, like everybody runs around using swords and everything like that. Like everybody's fucking using swords, and yet they have hyperspace starships, right? And they have laser guns, and they have fighters, and there are aliens everywhere, and there's a mystical energy called the Force, and they have laser swords, lightsabers, of course. But I mean, like, there's a disconnect here. Like, why do you like? They might as well have just had shields or something, like a wooden tower shield, to make it like a little more Dungeons and Dragons-y, which is pretty much what it is, anyways. I honestly have no idea why everybody's using swords, like long swords and shit like that. That's stupid, right? Again, yeah, as I said, it's anachronistic. Honestly, there are things that shouldn't exist. Like they should have been, like they were around at the time, I guess. Like we still have swords, but nobody uses swords in a battle against evil. Like fucking if the U.S. Army just busted into Syria or North Korea carrying a fucking scimitar or a cutlass, there'd be a fucking slaughter. Who'd get slaughtered. But no, yeah, so again, as with Jade Empire, and of course this is the first game that came before Jade Empire, interestingly enough, dialogue trees everywhere. Dialogue, 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 dialogue. Everything is talking, talking, talking. And while it is interesting dialogue, and it is very deep, it is very profound, and it is well written, again, a lot of people that I've played this game with say, you know what, like this is a great game, and I agree with that. It's a great game, but I also agree with the fact that there is a lot of talking. Holy shit, do people just not shut the fuck up, right? I mean, it's pretty much, it's like you want to soak up a couple hours, like talk to your characters in Nice Old Republic, because that's where you'll get, like, honestly, it'll. And the thing is, it's like sometimes they have so much to say, and other times they just have absolutely fucking nothing, right? It's like, like when there are a whole bunch of Gizka on the Ebon Hawk, they're just like, oh, I don't know how to help you with that problem. Huh, looks like you're fucked. Good luck with that, shithead. So at that point, it's like, really? You've got nothing to say to this? Or like, as I said, Carthy, is supposed to be your goody two-shoes character, and sometimes he steps in and stops you, like, when the old man is being roughed up by Dovik's thugs, wanting like 50 credits from him or 100 credits or however much it is. He's just like, really? Are we just gonna let them drag this guy away or something? So then, regardless of whatever you do, if you threaten to rob the guy, Karth will he'll step in and say, no, it's not. You're not going to do this. We're not these kinds of people, right? But then again, if you hand the guy 100 credits, Karth acts bewildered. He's like, you're giving him 100 credits? Generous. I just hope we don't end up needing those credits later. And I'm just like, fuck, dude. You're bipolar or something. Like, pick a side, honestly. It's like, either be a goody two-shoes or be a fuckstick, honestly, right? So, that in that respect, he's kind of annoying, right? So, and a lot of the time, you're kind of glad to have him out of your hair, but a lot of other times, you'd think it would be very interesting to get, to hear his input on sort of things, and, again, it would be interesting to hear your other characters' inputs on sort of things, and sometimes they chime up, but those chime up there, but again, they're few and far in between those occurrences. So, again, yeah, so much more could have been done with it, but again, it's this game itself is vanilla in the fact that it is one of the first. It is pretty much the first role-playing game in the Star Wars universe that deals with this sort of thing. So, you take what you can get at this point, right? So, but yeah, no. So, Karth's backstory is interesting. What with his son and everything, and how he never realized that his son was still alive after, his Saul Kareth. Again, see, here I am, listing off names and characters and dates and locations and everything, right? Because, I actually, for the most part, like this game, so I'm concerned with it, right? It's had a bit of an effect on me. But yeah, no, so that's interesting, but, you get to meet him on Korriban, Dustalo Nasi. And you have to have a high persuasion skill, and I would definitely recommend reading a walkthrough to get you through all the dialogue trees and everything, because if not, you could very easily find yourself just slaughtering the guy because he gets pissed off at you. But yeah, no, I don't know if anything happens after that, though. Like, it's not like you meet, if you redeem Dustalo Nasi. Like, I think the last thing he says to you is, I've got friends in the academy, I've got to convince them to join the cause. I'm glad that you're. Oh, and you had to prove that his girlfriend that was at the Sith Academy was intentionally murdered by Utar Win or somebody else, the lady, the Twi'lek lady, because she was hindering his progress, right? So that basically sends him over the edge, and he has a crisis of confidence in his newfound culture and life, and he turns back to good. But other than that, I don't think anything happens to that. I mean, everything just seems to end. It seems clipped. Everything just seems to end randomly. Like, again, with Mission's brother. Again, this was the playthrough that if anybody's ever watching it, is it's the first time that I've ever viewed that myself, right? Like, actually finding the character Griff Vow, I think his name is. And again, he turns out to be a slimy piece of shit, just like Lena said he would be. And of course, Mission has to face the music about that sort of thing. So, but again, you'd think that things were going somewhere, and, you'd hope for redemption for her brother, and, everything would be good and happy and solid and tickety-boo. But, of course, I guess you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and, Griff just fucks off after a while and just says, and, Mission just shrugs it off. Well, I'm not concerned about it anymore, so fuck it, right? So I'm just like, well, that's lazy writing there. Fuck. So, but whatever. On to Bastola. My God. Like, again, like I would say all these characters are pretty well written. They're well acted out, and they're well illustrated and everything. I have no real qualms about that, but it's just more the logistical portions of Bastola that really kind of take me aback, honestly, because Bastola Shan has this battle meditation ability that very few Jedi, if any, throughout history have perfectly mastered, right? And she seems to be the whole she seems seems to be the guru on it. Honestly, she seems to be the grand poobah. So she's pretty much everybody's poster girl. There's like, oh, we have Bastola Shan. We need her battle meditation to, focus our warriors, and that with that we can win against the Sith and, their Star Forge, which is, endlessly producing more starships through the hatred or anger of the dark side or whatever. But then I think, it's like, and of course, spoilers. Of course, you'd know by watching the damn video or if you've played it before. But your character, of course, turns out to be Revan, right? Bastola, I don't know. I don't know the time difference, honestly. I don't know if this is like a few weeks or a few months or maybe a year, or maybe even just a couple days. So, I don't know if this is the Great Hyperspace War. It's not the War of Exarchun because that happened 40 years before this, but it's the war between I don't even know what it is now. It was the war in which, of course, Malik, the main adversary of the game, consolidates his control over the Sith fleet by doing an Operation Barbarossa and turning on his former ally and master, Revan, and firing on his or her ship, depending on the gender of your character. And of course, Bastola invades your ship, and it's like, you cannot win, Revan. Then Malik, of course, commands his cruiser to fire on the control deck of Revan's ship, and of course, I don't know if Revan gets like severely injured or knocked out or whatever, right? So Bastola's there, and she basically just drags him back to have his mind erased by the council and given a new identity. How convenient, right? So and I gotta tell you, as a side note, pretty much like nearing the end of the first playthrough of the game that I was doing, it was very obvious to me that there was something about the main character's history, right? Again, maybe for everybody else who was playing this, like, red alarms were going off pretty much in the beginning of the game, which honestly they are. Honestly, you're talking to these smug-ass Jedi masters in the Enclave on Dantooine. It's just like, I'm afraid that this will lead you down an all too familiar path, or wouldn't it be better to take your greatest enemy and turn them to your side instead of fighting and killing them, right? And you kind of have these flashbacks, at the time that you're realizing that you're Revan and shit like that. But they made it painfully fucking obvious. So near the end, it was not a mystery and it was not a big surprise, honestly. Even though everybody acted like it was. But and again, this whole connection that you have with Bastola, and I think, why? How? Like, Bastola didn't really do anything. I mean, you got injured by laser bolts and she dragged you back to the Jedi Council to have your mind erased. Like, why does that make you have a connection with her, right? Like, why are you sharing dreams and everything now? It doesn't make any damn sense, right? I mean, before, you meet back on Taurus, you had, like, probably a consecutive few minutes with her, right? So, I mean, again, that just never really seemed to make sense with me. Like, why like master and student bonds form? It's like, Bastola Shan, she's not a master. She's pretty much an apprentice, just like, or a Padawan, just like you turn into, right? So, and again, the character of Bastola, they say this in the game, of course. They say it's like, oh, she is brash and young, and she acts without thinking and everything like that. And I think, so the Republic is teetering on the edge of total collapse. There's a massive Sith armada coming to destroy the remnants of it, and you're putting all of your faith into this bipolar lady who can't control herself, right? You're fucked, man. Just like fucking throw in the towel right now, honestly. I mean, that's just retarded. No, it's ridiculous, right? So I mean, that aspect again was, in my opinion, not very well thought through. I mean, again, it's like they basically send her on this whirlwind mission across the galaxy to stop one of the worst Sith Lords who has ever lived. And I mean, they pretty much knew for a fact that she was going to fall to the dark side, right? Because I mean, why not, right? I mean, the very first time you practically meet her, I mean, she busts out of that force cage and she says, she's like, Volkers, to me, stop these people. That's Brejik talking, leader of the Black Volkers. They captured Bastola after her Republic escape pod crashed. And again, of course, she lost her lightsaber. It rolled underneath the seat, I guess, because you find it later on after you kill Brejik. So again, yeah, and they actually make a comment to that. It's like, God damn, why are you so absent-minded? And Karth just got a fucking good yuck out of it. It was actually pretty funny, honestly, and I was glad to see, somebody take the piss out of that bitch, honestly. But, so, again, she's being restrained by some sort of neural inhibitor, and after you win the swoop race, she frees herself from it, busts out of the cage, and just basically starts slaughtering people left and right. And he's like Volkers, to me, kill everyone, kill them all. And then Bastola says something. This is probably before he says that, but she says it's like, oh, you are going to see the true power of a Jedi, and this is a mistake you won't live to regret. I thought, wow. Giving into anger so firmly and so completely that she's willing to outright murder people, right? Yeah, that puts a lot of confidence puts a lot of my confidence into that character, right? No, and again, the thing with Bastola is that she's a character, a trope that's present in a lot of console RPGs, especially Japanese RPGs, or even North American RPGs as well. Honestly, if there's like the main female of the game, whether or not she's a love interest, always either turns out to be really, really important, like the reincarnation of a goddess, or like a I don't know, like the descendant of an ancient being or something, or having a special gift or something like that. Just something mystical about her that, basically guarantees she'll be kidnapped for a large portion of the game and you have to find her or something like that. Luna and Lucia from the Lunar series, which I also played through, come to mind in those regards. So, I mean, that was a little tiring as well. And of course, these little backstories with all your characters, like sometimes you'd be running around with your character and they say, mission seems a little distant, or hey, you didn't end your conversation well with Karth last time. Why don't you talk to them again, right? And I mean, this playthrough, this time around, I was just waiting for those little prompts to come up while playing the game because I wanted to make sure that I fleshed out all of their stories, right? Because honestly, it seems that in the several times that I've kind of gotten further and further into the game and ended up quitting was because I'm just like, well, fuck, it's like, nobody's talking to me about their history, right? It's like, did I encounter a glitch or something, or did I advance too far into the game and not talk to them enough or something? So that I also found really annoying, right? So, I mean, it was basically a race to the finish to try and talk to all these people all at once, right? Which again, adds several hours to the playtime. And I mean, again, the banter between your female character and Karth is, and as well Candace and Jolie Bindo again, it's a little more interesting if you're compared to a male character, but again, it only goes so far, right? And again, the rapid transit system, very useful. Why they didn't have it in the second game, can't tell you. That's just stupid. Kebla Yurt's shop, as a side note here, it's like, the Sith confiscated all my good stuff and heavy weapons and all of my shit, like that. But of course, I guess they didn't confiscate, the Sith sniper rifle, their own fucking weapon that, is illegally modified and everything. Whatever. So, again, yeah, 5,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, and everybody still has protocol droids, everybody still has utility droids, and, ships that can travel through hyperspace and everything like that. So really it's anachronistic, right? I mean, you've seen it in the Star Wars movies, how, it's a couple decades before, New Hope occurs, and, it just seems that the technology is better in Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3. than it is, several years after. But whatever. So yeah, mines. Side note, completely useless. Never really used them at all. I basically just gathered them up so I could sell them. Uh, that's of course you use mission or the droids to do that, so you don't waste any skill points. Um, yeah, definitely double-bladed weapons are the way to go. Not using one single-handed weapon or two single-handed weapons. You always get a penalty for that, especially in your chance to hit. Uh, certain things, especially um, blasters and certain armor types, they're vastly overly expensive, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is useless. Why does it cost so much, right? I don't know. So, again, and the thing with Taurus, the first planet, is that it's pretty much the bulk of the game there, and that's not a good thing when you have the bulk of the game like in the beginning, right? Like I would say that pretty much like maybe a third of the game is Taurus, and that's not good, right? Because I mean, Taurus is the biggest planet. It has the most areas, the most side quests, and everything. Uh, the most people that you can talk to and everything, and the most things happen on it, right? I mean, after Taurus, I mean, everything pretty much becomes a treasure hunt, right, for the next star map sort of thing to find the location of the Star Forge and everything, right? But again, uh, you know, you do so much stuff on Taurus, like whether or not you side with the Vulkars or with the hidden Becks, or whether or not you save people or kill them or whatever. I mean, it's all for naught, right? Because the planet ends up getting destroyed and everybody dies, and you're pretty much the only people to get away from that eternal hellfire, right? So, yeah, gigantic fucking waste of time, right? Pretty much makes it all completely redundant. So, yeah, and after that, the game basically reboots itself, and then you're back, you're on Dantooine or something. So then you start your Jedi training, and then if you've invested any feats in blasters or anything like that, or in melee weapons, then now they're all useless because now you should have invested them in different aspects like flurry or flurry. I would say is pretty much the best attack. Honestly, you get another attack. It lowers your defense, but you get another attack per round, so that's good. I find power attack useless because they usually dodge it. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many things to do on Taurus compared to any other planet that pretty much a third of the game is already done by the time you leave Taurus. And as I said, you're looking for a star map, right? Which again is it's really interesting in itself because you're unfolding a mystery and everything. Like, just what the hell was going on? Like, how did the Sith amass this massive empire? And everything like that. But again, everything is just it's a treasure hunt, as I just said, for the next star map, and everything is a means to an end on all the other planets, whether it's Tatooine, Kashyyyk, Korriban. Tatooine, Kashyyyk, Korriban. Is there another one? There's the Yavin place. Fuck now, I can't even remember. Huh. Yeah. So it basically kind of loses a sense of itself, after Taurus. Everything is just, well, let's look for the next thing to, just advance the plot for whatever reason necessary, right? So, and of course, there are certain things to do, but I mean, it's like swoop racing is completely useless. I mean, I hate, again, it's an action-oriented thing, so I absolutely hated it. But I mean, it was easy enough to do on Taurus, so I never really did it anywhere else. Like, I never did it on Tatooine, and I think that's the only other place you can do it. Manon is another one of them, this water planet. I think they might also have a swoop track there, but I'm not certain. Manon I thought was interesting, like going underwater and everything, like seeing what was going on in the Rackert Rift. But you know what? Yeah, it's like, again, like some of these moral choices that you have in this game are really, really ambiguous again, which again, that's like I like define good and evil, right? So these choices that you have to make are and ambiguous, right? So on Manon, you realize that the Harakert Rift is basically a natural source of Kolto, which is basically a precursor to Bacta. Something I remember from Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2. Dark Forces 2 is probably one of my favorite games. It's pretty much the first Star Wars game I ever played in my life. I absolutely love the full motion video cutscenes. They made the game, if you ask me. I'm a big fan of full motion video in games. In fact, I go out of my way to collect full motion video games. But other than that's going off on a tangent there. But yeah, so the Kolto. Both the Sith and the Republic are harvesting it. The Manon is, playing both sides of the coin. Saying it's like, we'll sell to you, we'll sell to you. And I think, like, are the fish people of Manon fucking stupid? Do they not know that the Sith are fucking insane and they just basically ravage everything in their path? It's like, you know what? For the most part, like they it would just be easier for the Sith to take over the planet and harvest all the Kolto for themselves. Why can't they use the Star Forge to just reproduce the Kolto anyways? I have no idea, right? So but yeah, no, if you're a good character and you're fighting for the Republic, you go down to the Harakrit Rift and you realize that there's a massive fucking Phyraxan shark there. And maybe it's been mutated by the natural reserves of Kolto there, and you can either destroy the Kolto harvesting machine or pump poison into the water and kill the Phyraxan shark, right? And the people of Manon are so spiritual and so traditional, they're all mystical and everything. They think, oh, it could be the goddess shark or whatever the fuck it is, or, don't do something bad for the environment. But then, if you do the quote-unquote good thing, right, and destroy the Kolto harvesting machine, because that's the thing that's, like, pissing off the Phyraxan shark, and that's why everybody's being killed, and the Selkath are being driven insane. I mean, you still killed them all. You still killed all those Selkath who were insane. It's not like you just knocked them out and they'll just wake up after, everything is done, right? But no. So there's still bad stuff going on there. It's not too light-sided of you. But so yeah, if you do that, you destroy the Kolto harvesting machine, and this Republic general who sends you down there in the first place to root out the cause of what the fuck is going on down at this Rackert station, which is owned by the Republic. He says, "Oh my God, it might even cost us the war." And I think, yeah, we did the right thing, right? No, you fucking didn't. Who cares if you saved a couple sharks? Fuck you. You should have poisoned them. Like, that should be the good thing, right? You're saving lives by doing that. And if the Selkath were so irredeemably crazed after that, then that's a moot point anyways, right? So again, that moral choice did not really make any sense to me, right? If you killed the Phyraxan shark or something, I mean, the Kolto does not get poisoned, right? It does not. Like, that's not part of the quest, even though they say we don't know what effect it'll have on the Kolto. That doesn't happen. So pretty much nothing bad happens, other than a couple butthurt Manonese people or whatever you call them. So yeah, then of course there are the corrupted Selkath who are being recruited by the Sith and everything, and you have to convince them, and I think the fish people don't have a lot of frames of animation, so they can't use swords or anything, so they basically just shoot you with their little sonic guns or take fucking haymaker swings at you. But and again, like a lot of the times, to get that quest, like to save the corrupted Selkath from the Sith base, you need to talk to one Selkath person, and you need to be very careful about what you say about the Sith, right? Because if you say, "Oh, I like the Sith, they have style," the guy just fucks off completely. He tells you to eat a dick, and he says, "Well, you know what? I know your opinion of the Sith, so I'm not going to do anything for you." And I'm just like, "Wow, I would call that a bug there. You should not, destroy a central quest on a planet with one wrong response, right?" So, but I learned that the hard way in one of my early playthroughs. So, but yeah, I don't know. Again, it seems that if you want to be a good person, you have to be the most morally absolute, most like I'll give you the clothes off my back kind of person if you want to be good, and if you want to be evil, you can't just be, kind of selfish or, or kind of careless or something like that. You have to be a sociopathic motherfucker who lusts for blood, right? Which I again thought was really, really stupid. There are more than there are more ways than being so disgustingly immoral to be, sort of dark-sided than and light-sided than being, the bastion of goodness and hope sort of thing. Because, again, you're looking in the movies, right? Luke and Leia and well, Leia was a Jedi, and again, she was tempted by love and everything, and they bumped uglies with Han Solo, and they had all their kids, right? Which Kylo Ren is one of them. Uh, so yeah, how's that for like don't give in to emotion, right? Even though in the movies it's like it's like you use your emotion to strengthen you, not to take it out on people like as power, right? But it's like emotion was a strength of a Jedi, right? They weren't like a bunch of soulless Vulcans or anything like that. But yeah, I know. Uh, yeah, the game. It's a great game, but again, it's very linear and it's very bare compared to a lot of games of its time. Honestly, like again, Morrowind, right? I think came around the same time and everything. But again, it's a different kind of game. It is a console style RPG, and I guess it does excel in that sort of sense. And again, like all these funny little alien languages that you have throughout the game, they'd be like Tonghabok Shok, Rundihi Chawa, Wanakun Best Ching Palamudira, you know, goofy fucking shit like that, honestly. I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's Huttese or something. I don't know. Galactic Basic is what they call English, as far as I know. Um, uh, so, yeah, and of course it was basically just there to, record only a few, voice actors saying these random lines just so that they could have more lines of voice dialogue without, overloading the DVD with all of this voice recording data and everything like that. It makes sense. It actually works out pretty well and everything, right? But again, most of the aliens are voiced using these canned lines and everything, so it kind of takes away the layers of their personalities, right? Um, so, and again, you have your little Yoda guy there, Master Vandar, I think his name is. Master Vrook, Master Dorak, Master Boluk? No. Vrook, Vandar, Dorak. I can't even remember now. So yeah, and then they say they give you this whole spiel about becoming a Jedi. It's like blue is the color of the Jedi Guardian, yellow is the color of the Jedi Sentinel, and green is the color of the Jedi Counselor. Huh. Again, this in continuity doesn't really matter anymore because again, it's owned by Disney. But I would say it's like Luke Skywalker to me did not seem like a Jedi Master. He was definitely a Jedi Guardian, and yet he had a green lightsaber. Well, that's the one that he made for himself, right? Um, oh boy. Uh, he did have a blue lightsaber before, but that was his father's, Anakin's, right? Uh, which kind of sucks. I think it would have been funny because I mean, if he got his hand cut off and his lightsaber was falling, like wouldn't he have caught it? Like since he fell basically after it. I don't know. Maybe the lightsaber blade burned through like the fucking ductwork or this. I don't know what it was. This massive air conditioning compartment or whatever it was. He basically falls through the entire city after that. Again, going off on a tangent here, right? But yeah, so. And he says, it's not so much dependent on the color, but as to what you do. Even though you have to choose a color and a character class, right? So I mean you're fucked anyways, right? You can have any kind of colored lightsaber you want as long as it's red, blue, green, yellow, red, purple. I think is another one of them. I'm not sure if this game has like Mantle of the Force or anything like that. That might be in the second one. I don't know. Um, I think you have like short lightsabers and stuff like that, but I mean, really, they just do less damage with no real advantage. So, and again, just as I said with regular melee weapons, a double-bladed lightsaber is always, always, always the way to go. And of course, you might as well kill Comad Fortuna to get his extra Dragon Pearl, because that is a very useful lightsaber crystal to have. So you'll get two of them, right? You get one pearl for yourself, and then you kill Comad, and you get both of them. Hey, those sort of yeah, like I would say, I don't know, those sorts of decisions. Of course they're dark side decisions, but again, a lot of the times the people you're dealing with are not great people necessarily. So I mean, those should be more of neutral decisions, right? Um, but yeah, no. Another thing that comes to mind is Canderous Ordo and Calo Nord. Now, to me, Canderous Ordo is too bland of a character. Now, what I do with a lot of like the KOTOR tool, I didn't do it with this playthrough, of course, because it was on the Xbox. But what I would do is that I would modify. I would basically swap the appearances of Calo Nord and Canderous Ordo so that you would get the character image of Calo Nord as Canderous Ordo, right? Uh, and the Odyssey engine is really good like that. I mean, you really can uh, modify it in very deep and profound and very technical ways and have it still work out, right? Because I mean, the characters will still, you could have Bastola as Malik, and Bastola would voice all of Malik's dialogue and everything. She'd move her mouth and everything and be there in the cutscenes and everything like that. So that is really, really neat there. I like the KOTOR tool, definitely. So what I would do is that I would do a simple 2DA swap, and I would make Canderous Ordo look like Calo Nord, because generally I think that Calo Nord is a much more interesting character. Oh shit. Uh, Sorry, I started up another video there that I was watching through and kind of blasted in my headphones there. Ow. But yeah, no. So a lot of the times I would do that just to make the game more interesting, because I think that Calo Nord just looks like a more interesting character. So, but yeah, Canderous Ordo, he looks too much like everybody else in the game. He's, white, unshaven, short hair, and everything like that. And of course, they recycle the same character and the voice actor in the second game for Mandalore, which I thought was, fucking like a flying fuck you, really something really lazy, honestly. I mean, everything should have been different as different as possible, right? So, but yeah, no. So then the Sith uniforms, especially for the officers, they kind of look they look stupid, honestly. They kind of look like the uniforms that they had in the Wing Commander movie with Freddie Prinze Jr., like those stupid little hats that they wear and everything, and like those, I don't know, the fact that like they're 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 shapeless, like their bodies are shapeless. They're like, they have torsos and then they just have legs. Like they don't have hips, they just have torsos and then legs just coming out of their, like, the brown little jacket sort of things. Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with that design. And Malik with his kind of pinkish, maroonish, purplish little body tight suit there, I thought was kind of goofy as well. He had like little dress frills going off at his waist and everything. No, like I wasn't impressed with that. So and how you couldn't get Malik's lightsaber at the end because the game was over pretty much, and since it's a console role playing game, nothing goes on after that, right? But uh, yeah, like that's why I got the PC version, not just because of the cheats, but also because of like the mods, the skins, the extra quests and everything, the extra weapons, to make the game more interesting, right? Uh, the Now, this is an experience, I'm not sure if anybody else has experienced this, but in the Xbox version, sometimes you would have the space shooter sequences, like, you'd be at the controls of your turbo lasers, and you'd be firing at all of these Sith fighters and everything. There'd be like 4 of them or 5 of them or however many there were. And they'd basically just come at you, and everybody says, "Oh, well, try to shoot as many as you can just when they're, flying towards you," sort of thing. That'll make it easier. But you know what? In the Xbox version, and I'm not sure if anybody else has experienced this, but I actually went out of my way to test this theory. I think you might be invincible during those sequences, because like I just never died. Like my health meter never went down. I don't know if this is a glitch or whatever, but I can tell you in the PC version, it doesn't exist there. You die very quickly, right? Fast enough to like her shields aren't impregnable, is what Davik said, and fast enough to outrun any ship. Except, every ship that attacks them, right? Or, if they're caught in a tractor beam, you're fucked anyways, right? So, yeah, impregnable shields. Yeah, I guess a few blasts from tiny little fighters that are practically, a 32nd of the size of your ship can just take it down after a few hits, right? And again, it's like having 2 turbo lasers that just go blam, 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 blam. It's like, what happened to the quad lasers that go like on the fucking Millennium Falcon? Those would have been fucking awesome, right? But yeah, again, not too big of a fan of those, and I would hate whenever they showed up, because, it'd be a fucking pixel hunt for, when the fighters would fly away from your ship, and, sometimes they'd fly underneath your ship, and then they'd still be able to shoot you, and you wouldn't be able to hit them, and you're just like, well, what the fuck, right? Like, come on, seriously. And then, the quest with the Undercity people, how you lead them to the promised land, right? I mean, really, you don't know what happens to them, right? Because, I mean, Taurus gets destroyed, they're just like, they're only going off on a few journal entries that you find on these eviscerated corpses from the Rakghoul monsters and everything, and it's just like, oh, it'll be long and perilous, and most of us will perish anyways. Huh, looks like it's not worth it then, for fanciful dreams of droid servants and everything in a fucking automated paradise. Karth said it best when it's just like, sounds like a story to make people smile before they go mad with despair or something like that. I'm just looking at one of my videos now. Sell you all my cards, Pazak. Never really gave a shit about that game, honestly. You had a max bet of like 90 credits, right? So you couldn't make a whole lot of money doing it. And again, to me, it seemed that the game was stacked against you, because it's sort of like blackjack, except I think the max is 20 or something. And I lost more times than I won, and I was sick and tired of loading and reloading and loading and reloading sort of thing. So I gave up on it very, very fucking quickly, right? Because I mean, you never have a good hand, and the guy you're always playing against would almost always be able to just shake you down for all your money. So, yeah, it was basically just something to waste time with, honestly. Yeah, so again, it's like, adding a little addition to the gameplay, and really it's just poorly implemented, honestly. So, what other things did I want to talk about in this game? See, swoop racing, lightsaber fighting. I mean, again, feat progression is slow, and again, it only gets worse if you become a sentinel or a master. So again, mainly, as I said, soldier, then guardian. That's pretty much the only way to go. And it's like, oh well, sentinels, I don't know, sentinels and masters get higher force points and more wisdom or something or whatever. Never really had a problem with that, honestly. I resisted the majority of force attacks and everything, even when I was a guardian, so I guess I was doing something right. But yeah, again, and on Kashyyyk, right? I mean, Zerka slavers and everything like that, so you got to get rid of them if you want to be good. It's like, fuck, even a dark-sided person wants to be good to the Wookiees. I mean, Wookiees are fucking awesome. Who doesn't want a Wookiee for a friend, right? But again, the Wookiees are really untrustful of outsiders, but I mean, it really just shows how ignorant they are, honestly, because it's like, I mean, are you so ignorant to not be able to realize that, some outsiders are good people and they want to help you. And I mean, like, even after the fact that you like saved their planet from the slavers, they say we're not going to let anybody else on here, including you. And I'm just like, the fuck, right? And they still, turn their noses up to you and treat you with hostility and like a third-class citizen and everything like that. I think it's like, oh, and depending on how far you go on Kashyyyk, like there was a quest, a side quest in which one guy owns another guy because it turns out that he killed his friends in the Shadowlands or something, and you're supposed to prove that he actually didn't win a bet or something or whatever. And depending how far you go, like if you uproot the Zerka presence before you complete that quest, then that quest is just voided, right? I mean, it even tells you, it's like, yeah, it puts all of that guy's plans out of business, right? So I'm just like, well, thank you for that. I mean, not even a cutscene. So I mean, that's kind of shit. So I mean, yeah, again, I'm just watching the Taurus dueling ring here. I mean, there's just so much more to do on Taurus than there is on any other planet. And I mean, Tatooine is very, very small. It's all desert, which again, I think I might have fucked up a quest like Bastola's father or something. I don't know. I kept on getting more and more Bastola's father's holocrons or something. Maybe I completed it properly, and you know what? Again, it seems, I don't know. Like, again, it's confusing. Like, where's the defined good and defined evil? Because it seems that at some points, Bastola's mother is evil, and at some points, she's good. And I don't know if she turns out to be fully good or fully evil or something, right? But, I don't know. And of course, Balaj is, Bastola is very hostile towards her mother, right? Again, a great fucking character quality to have, and what needs to be the savior of the fucking universe with her battle meditation and everything like that. Which, mind you, is a force power that anybody can learn in the second game, right? So, I mean, big fucking deal, right? Right? But what the fuck ever, honestly. Now, one thing I would say, and I want to say this right now because I'll have something to say about this in another game that I've already played through and uploaded, is the main adversary, Malik. Now, Malik, he commands the presence of a main adversary. He is frequently present in the game. He has his hands in many of the events that happen in the game, and he's sort of like a force of nature that sweeps through the entire game. And you have numerous meetups with him. So in that respect, he is a good antagonist. He's a good, firm, solid, realistic antagonist, right? Which, and I'll tell you right now, just the game that I'm going to talk about with the opposite of this, of what I'm saying, is Magic Knight Rayearth. So, but that's, for another time. So yeah, I would say that, again, the characters are well written, well acted, well dialogued, and but the thing is, they could have been fleshed out more. Bastola's mother, Bastola's father, Jolie's lady friend or something. Fuck, that was such an ordeal trying to make him just fucking divulge. It's like, who'd you fuck? Who'd you fuck, Jolie? Come on, just fucking tell me, you old bastard. Right? I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't even think I properly finished that quest at all. I mean, that's again, that's the problem with this game. I mean, sometimes, I don't know if you hit a glitch or whatever. I mean, quests just seem to end randomly, almost as randomly as the fucking HK factory in the second game, where you find the severed Bith guy's arm on Nar Shaddaa, and that's pretty much it. At least as far as the Xbox version is concerned. That I gawked at that at the time, but yeah, and of course you can talk to Huts and everything, which is kind of cool. But I mean, again, you're going back to skills. The only skills that you need are treat injury and persuade. And that's pretty much all you need, honestly. Because, I mean, if you're not persuasive enough, oftentimes you cannot get more money for certain quests. You cannot tell people you cannot basically convince people to tell you certain things about them, and you might not even be able to activate certain quests and everything, right? If your persuasion isn't high, right? So then they say, well, that's the point of having a scoundrel. And I think it's like, yeah, but you would you would fail in almost every other way, right? So I mean, honestly, no matter what character you play, donate all of your points only to persuade and to treat injury. And I thought it was funny how, your main character is the only character that can use the persuade skill, but only one of the character classes, the scoundrel, has persuade as a class skill. Every other class needs 2 points to level it up, right? So I mean, if you're I think if you're a soldier with anything less than 14 intelligence, you will have to wait 2 levels to level up your persuasion skill even once, right? So, I mean, again, charisma doesn't really play into anything. Again, there might be technical aspects like how well your force powers do, or if you successfully complete a saving throw or whatever. But again, I've never really experienced anything like that, so I never really concentrated on it. Again, right? And again, I kind of don't like how later on in the game it kind of just forces you into these sort of quests, like just it's time to be intercepted by the Leviathan, and then after Bastola gets kidnapped, you have to crash land on the Rakatan homeworld, right? And you have to go to the Star Forge after that, right? So, I mean, the game just basically railroads you through the plot after that point. Yeah, you're joking, right? If I pay you more, blah 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 blah. That again, if your persuade skill was like 10 or something, you'd be able to negotiate for more money. So but of course, if you don't just pump all of your energy into the persuade skill, then it's all for nothing. But yeah, on the Rakatan homeworld, I thought it was very interesting because the Rakatan people that you see on the homeworld are the same sort of Rakatans that you see in that prison box world that you get from, what is it, Moda the Hutt or something, which again I thought could have been done better because he said there was like a Wookiee and somebody else who became entrapped in there and didn't feel like working with the guy or understanding that if you beat him in his contest of riddles you'd be able to go free. It's just like, oh, if you run out into the whiteness far enough you might find them. That if you did and you found them, that would be pretty cool. It'd be neat if they programmed them in there, but believe me, I tried and I could not. And yeah, after several minutes I could not find anybody in there. So, and of course, the fucking, like, this guy is supposed to be super intelligent. It's like, I'm always hungry, I must be fed. The finger I lick shall soon turn red. Of course you're a fucking flame. What else would you be? These are fucking elementary school things, right? No, so that was a big disappointment. Big disappointment. And again, yeah, it's like you couldn't convince anybody that you were actually inside the prison box. So, I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, it's a moot point, anyways. It's pretty much a useless quest. It's just there to pad out the game and everything. Just another environment for you to dick around in for a little while. And it would have been neat if you could have done a few more things on the Ebon Hawk. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you could play Pazak with Mission. I think you could, but and you had your workbenches and everything like that. But in your nav computer, I don't know. I guess I was just looking for a little bit more. Like, it's sort of like what people were saying about the first Fable. I guess they it was a good game, which I played it and uploaded it here, and I'll have my own review for that game anyways. But everybody. I just expected more from this game, honestly. Again, it's great as it is. I mean, it's as complete as it can be. And, as I said, it's got as defined good and evil as it could. It ends, with a bang either way. So that's always good and everything. I mean, again, I thought that if it would have been neat if your persuade skill had been high enough, you could convince Malik to join the light and even save him, right? And I think, again, it's like you look at some of these mods that people have made, and I mean, it's like that's what people wanted, right? I mean, obviously they cared enough to make these mods themselves and to incorporate them into the actual game themselves. So again, I think that game development companies should pay a lot more attention to what even the smallest person, even the smallest voice in the crowd says, because I mean, certain individuals just have better ideas than many other people, right? But yeah, no. So uh, I've rambled on about this game for, let's see how long. An hour and a half. Okay, so quite a bit longer than all of my other videos, but I'm just gonna think here. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Covered the level ups, covered the classes, space battles, lightsaber fights. I mean, again, it's the same sort of dice roll things. Uh, Again, I like the fact how he was like robbing those Jedi's of their life force that he had in like that massive antechamber while he was fighting you and everything. Of course, it was just to drag out the whole fight, but no, that was pretty powerful if you ask me. Yeah, uh, you know, going both ways and everything, whether you're dark or light, it's definitely worth a playthrough both ways. Maybe not necessarily between male and female, because I'll tell you, uh, it's definitely a male-centric game, the first one, because the first one, if you're a female, you've pretty much just got a few lines of dialogue changed. Maybe there are a few quirky lines from Karth or Canderous, but I mean, honestly, that's about it. So definitely meant for a male character to play it. Not entirely sure about the second game. Again, I played it as a male character. I'm not sure if you were supposed to be a female character. I never had a disciple as a member of my party. And I heard that if you're a female, then you don't get the handmaiden. Again, this is material for my next review of the second game there, so I don't want to get too far into it. But yeah, no. All in all, I thought that above everything else that I talked about, I thought that Knights of the Old Republic, the first game, it was a very enjoyable game. I enjoyed playing through it, and I'm certainly glad I did it. And I hope the few people, if any, that watch these videos enjoyed as well. And if you didn't, I hope you enjoyed it anyways. I mean, there's no real big deal anyways, right? You got to be happy, as I said. Look up, because life is great, and you got to think of it like that. So, you know what? Yeah, that's pretty much the end of my just fucking random rambling going on here now. Gone on for an hour and 32 minutes. Holy shit. Alrighty, I won't keep you on anymore there. Alright, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Skwatter out.